This is Thomas and Jennifer. Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
All about Cleopatra.
Ooh, exciting.
Going way beyond those typical portrayals you always see and,
Right.
trying to really understand this fascinating woman.
It really is time to, finally separate fact from fiction.
Yeah.
We're exploring Cleopatra.
Okay.
It's a fictional first-person account.
Interesting.
And we'll see what it reveals about the real Cleopatra,
Right.
beyond all those myths.
Beyond the Hollywood myths, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this fictional autobiography.
Huh?
Our mission
Yeah.
is to kind of figure out, what does it tell us about Cleopatra's ambitions?
Right.
How she wanted to be perceived by history.
I think right from the start you sense this.
Yeah.
Cleopatra's desire to, leave a mark on history.
Totally.
She even compares herself to Ptolemy,
Oh, wow.
the founder of her dynasty, who also wrote historical accounts.
It's like she's saying, hey, I'm not just a pretty face. I'm a scholar. I'm a leader, like my ancestor was.
A powerful statement.
Yeah.
Remember Ptolemy? I wasn't just a king.
Right?
He founded the Library of Alexandria.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Turned the city into this center of learning.
Amazing.
And wrote a biography of Alexander the Great.
Wow.
So she's really aligning herself with this
Yeah.
legacy of intellectual achievement and ambition.
She had a pretty interesting childhood, right?
Oh, yeah.
Growing up in the royal palace speaking multiple languages.
Yeah.
It wasn't all luxury and privilege, though, was it?
Now, palace life was full of danger.
I bet.
There's the story of Tamaratet,
Okay.
who's Cleopatra's nurse,
Right.
who died protecting her from an assassination attempt.
Oh, wow.
And it really highlights the constant threat
Right.
surrounding the royal family.
That's a stark reminder that,
Yeah,
Cleopatra's childhood wasn't a fairy tale.
right.
Imagine witnessing that kind of violence and loyalty
Yeah.
at such a young age.
Definitely shaped her understanding of power, I
Okay.
think. And the precariousness of life in the royal court.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just external threats either.
Right, because the power struggles within her own family.
Oh, absolutely.
Intense.
Intense.
Her father's exile,
Right.
her sister Berenice's brutal reign.
It's like a real-life soap opera.
Yeah, it
with
really is, yeah.
incredibly high stakes.
Yeah.
And through it all, young Cleopatra's watching,
Right.
learning how power operates, and the lengths people will go to seize it and maintain it.
Yeah.
That constant exposure to palace intrigue
I can't even imagine.
must have been terrifying,
Yeah.
yet formative
Right.
for her.
It's clear she was like a really keen observer,
Oh, yeah.
learning the art of political maneuvering from a young age.
Absolutely.
And then there's the looming presence of Rome,
yes.
which plays a huge role in Cleopatra's world.
Absolutely. By Cleopatra's time, the Ptolemies weren't the force they once were.
Right.
They relied heavily on Roman support, which
Yeah.
meant they were constantly navigating this complex web of alliances and obligations.
Her own father was restored to the throne by the Roman general Pompey.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder how Cleopatra viewed Rome,
Right?
as a protector, a threat, or maybe both.
It's a really complex dynamic.
Yeah.
On the one hand, Rome provided stability and security.
Right.
But on the other hand, it represented this growing foreign influence
Yeah.
that threatened Egyptian autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
And Cleopatra would have been acutely aware of this tension
Absolutely.
from a young age.
And then there's the dramatic downfall of her sister Berenice.
Oh, yeah.
Her husband Seleucus, who she forced to marry,
Right.
was murdered on her orders.
This brutal act really shows just the ruthlessness
Yeah.
that permeated the Ptolemaic court.
Wow.
And Cleopatra witnessed these power plays firsthand, and it undoubtedly shaped her own understanding of power,
Yeah.
of the nature of power.
So when Cleopatra takes the throne
Yeah.
alongside her ailing father, she's not just inheriting a crown, right?
No.
She's inheriting a legacy of ambition, intrigue,
Yes.
and the ever-present shadow of Rome.
Totally. And you can sense in her own words
Yeah.
that she's aware of the challenges ahead. She's been observing, she's been learning,
Yeah.
and she's ready
Yeah.
to take on the responsibility of leadership.
Her coronation is a grand spectacle,
Oh, yeah.
a journey up the Nile,
Mm-hmm.
a display of her authority,
Yeah.
embracing both her Greek and Egyptian heritage.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful image.
It's strategic, too, right?
For sure.
Showcasing her connection to both cultures.
Yeah.
Her command of the symbolism of power.
Mm-hmm.
Cleopatra understood the importance of image and presentation.
But ruling wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't.
She faced challenges right from the start.
With what?
The bibulous sons' rivals to the throne are murdered.
Oh, God.
She's forced to make difficult decisions
right.
regarding the Roman soldiers stationed in Egypt.
You can see how she was constantly walking this tightrope, trying to preserve Egyptian autonomy while navigating the ever-growing influence of Rome.
Yeah.
This balancing act reveals her political shrewdness, her pragmatism.
Then things get even more complicated.
Right, tell me about it.
With the arrival of Gnaeus Pompey fleeing Julius Caesar after their falling out, he seeks refuge in Alexandria.
Yeah, and he's murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Right on the shores of Egypt.
Talk about a dramatic turn of events.
Shakespearean.
Yeah.
In its scope.
It's a pivotal moment, isn't it?
It really is.
Because right on Pompey's heels comes Julius Caesar himself.
Oh, boy.
Arriving in Alexandria, setting the stage for Cleopatra's most legendary power play.
Here we go. This is where Cleopatra's audacity and her strategic thinking really come into play. That famous carpet scene.
Right.
So much more than a dramatic entrance.
Yeah, she's like, hey, look at me. I'm here.
It really captures her understanding of theatrics. You know, how to make a lasting impression.
Yeah.
She's not just relying on her beauty.
Right.
She's presenting herself as a gift.
Oh, wow.
Like a treasure.
Yeah.
Worthy of Caesar's attention. It's a calculated risk.
Definitely.
But it pays off brilliantly.
And it's not just about appearances either.
Yeah.
Cleopatra was incredibly intelligent and politically savvy.
Oh, absolutely.
Knew how to play the game.
She understood Roman politics.
Yeah.
And knew how to use that knowledge to her advantage.
There's a scene in the book where a mob surrounds Caesar's palace.
Oh, yeah.
Things get pretty chaotic.
Yeah. Pretty intense scene.
Yeah.
But instead of panicking,
right,
she uses the situation to solidify her alliance with Caesar.
Oh, smart.
Turning a potential crisis into an opportunity that demonstrate her quick thinking and ability to like navigate these dangerous situations.
It's clear that she really saw the potential in aligning herself with Caesar.
Oh, yeah.
Their relationship blossoms. And soon Caesarion, their son, is born.
The birth of Caesarion is such a pivotal moment. Yeah. It's not just a love story.
Right.
It's a calculated move to bind Caesar to her.
To Egypt.
To Egypt through their son.
Yeah.
She's securing her legacy and the future of her dynasty.
But even with Caesar on her side, there are still threats to her power.
Oh, there always are.
Her younger sister Arsinoe escapes the palace.
Oh, God.
And attempts to seize control.
What's so fascinating here is that Cleopatra seems to have predicted this.
Oh, wow.
It speaks to her understanding of her rivals and her ability to anticipate threats.
That's incredible.
Yeah, she's always thinking a few steps ahead.
This leads to a power struggle between the two sisters.
Right.
Culminating in the siege of Alexandria.
Oh, wow.
Cleopatra's strategic thinking really shines during this period.
We see her using diplomacy, military tactics, even propaganda to maintain her hold on power.
She's a fighter.
She's not afraid to fight for what she believes in, and she's willing to make difficult choices to protect her interests.
The account describes their life in Alexandria, including like a romantic journey up the Nile. It's a period of like relative peace and stability for Cleopatra.
But even in these seemingly idyllic moments, you can sense this looming threat of Roman politics, the instability of Caesar's position.
Yeah, because back in Rome, things are...
Oh, yeah. Things are brewing.
Unraveling.
Yeah.
And then tragedy strikes.
No.
Caesar's assassinated in Rome.
It's a devastating blow for Cleopatra.
Yeah, I bet.
Both personally and politically. But she doesn't crumble.
She's strong.
She immediately focuses on securing her position and the future of her son, Caesarion.
She's a survivor.
Yeah.
And she's determined to maintain her power.
Yes.
In a world that's constantly shifting around her.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, there's Mark Antony.
Ah, Mark Antony.
Enters the picture.
Caesar's right-hand man.
Right.
A powerful Roman general.
Yes.
With his own ambitions.
Yeah.
Their relationship becomes central to Cleopatra's story.
In the years following?
In the years following Caesar's death.
It's a whirlwind of politics alliances.
Oh, yeah.
And ultimately, tragedy.
But before we get into all that,
yeah,
I think it's important to step back and consider what we've learned so far.
Okay, yeah, what have we learned?
What's striking to me is how this fictional account, even with its embellishments, really reveals Cleopatra's incredible resilience.
Totally.
And her just unwavering commitment to her goals.
She's driven.
She faced constant challenges, family betrayal, political upheaval, the looming power of Rome.
Looming over everything.
But she never gave up.
It's easy to get caught up in the drama of her relationships with these powerful men.
Yeah, Caesar and Antony.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't overlook her accomplishments as a ruler in her own right.
Exactly. She was a queen.
She reformed the Egyptian calendar, oversaw a period of relative stability and prosperity, and navigated these complex diplomatic relationships.
Really impressive.
She was a head of state, dealing with real-world problems. And she was a mother. Fiercely protective of her children. Even as she used them as pawns in this political game.
It's a complex, fascinating picture.
It challenges us to see beyond those simplified portrayals of Cleopatra as just a seductress or a tragic figure. She was a multifaceted individual. Operating within a system that often exploited and marginalized women.
Absolutely.
Yet she found ways to exert her agency and make her voice heard.
Makes you wonder how much of her story, even in this seemingly personal account, is carefully crafted to present a particular image.
It's a question worth pondering.
Definitely.
And we'll dive deeper into that as we continue our exploration of Cleopatra.
Great.
And unpack the final chapters of her reign.
So we left off with Cleopatra kind of facing this whole new set of challenges in the wake of Caesar's assassination.
It's a whole new world for her.
Now a single mother. With Caesarion, a son, who represented both a powerful symbol and a potential target.
Oh, yeah. He's a very valuable piece on the chessboard.
She had to tread carefully.
Absolutely.
Especially with Mark Antony entering the scene.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Mark Antony. Their first encounter, as described in this account, is so fascinating.
Yeah, what happened?
It's a lavish banquet.
Okay.
But underneath all that opulence, it's like a power struggle in disguise.
Oh, wow.
You see Cleopatra just masterfully using spectacle and diplomacy to, like, assert her authority.
It's hard to imagine the pressure she must have been under.
Oh, I know.
Ruling an empire, negotiating with these Roman warlords, all while raising a family.
And right in the middle of all this, I know,
she gives birth to twins.
Oh, my gosh.
Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene.
Wow.
It makes you appreciate her strength and resilience.
She doesn't just survive. She thrives.
She does.
Cleopatra knows how to use her charm, her intelligence, her position to get what she needs.
It's clear that her priority is securing her power and the future of her dynasty.
And her alliance with Antony, at least for a while, seems like a strategic masterpiece.
Seems like it.
They become this legendary power couple, ruling over Egypt and challenging Rome itself.
It's an incredible story.
But their relationship wasn't just about politics, was it?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
The account kind of hints at this genuine affection between them.
Right, there are moments that suggest a deeper connection.
They shared ambitions, maybe even a genuine love for one another.
There's a scene where Antony gives Cleopatra this priceless ring.
Oh, wow.
That belonged to his mother.
That's a big deal.
It's a symbolic gesture.
You can't help but wonder how much of their connection was genuine. And how much was just calculated political strategy.
But ultimately, their love story is set against this backdrop of conflict and power struggles. Rome with its own internal divisions, ambitions.
Couldn't tolerate a foreign queen challenging its authority.
Especially not one as powerful and influential as Cleopatra.
Exactly.
And then there's Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and like a rising force in Roman politics.
A force to be reckoned with.
He sees Cleopatra as a threat. A manipulator who's turned Antony against Rome.
In his eyes, she's a dangerous woman.
This clash seems almost inevitable.
It was only a matter of time.
And it all culminates in the Battle of Actium.
Oh, yeah, the epic showdown.
This naval showdown that changed the course of history.
A turning point.
Cleopatra loses her fleet.
Devastating.
Her allies.
And ultimately her love.
The account of her final days in Alexandria is heartbreaking.
It is a tragic end to an incredible life.
She's trapped, defeated, yet still defiant.
She was a fighter to the very end.
She chooses to die on her own terms.
The famous ass bike.
It's a dramatic end.
Fitting for a queen.
Who lived her life on such a grand scale.
Even in death, she's controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
Shaping how she'll be remembered.
Cleopatra becomes this legend.
A symbol of seduction and tragic love.
But as we've seen throughout our deep dive, she was so much more than that.
Absolutely.
She was a shrewd political strategist, a devoted mother.
Right.
A ruler who fought to protect her kingdom.
Her story, even as told through this fictional account, forces us to grapple with those complexities of history.
It reminds us that there are always multiple perspectives.
Right.
Hidden motivations, a human story behind the events that shape the world.
It's not just dates and battles.
Cleopatra wasn't simply a villain or a victim.
No.
She was a woman of incredible intelligence and ambition.
Navigating a world dominated by men.
She defied expectations.
And left an undeniable mark on history.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this sense of awe.
Me too.
A renewed appreciation for the complexity of Cleopatra's life.
It's a story that keeps you thinking.
Her story continues to fascinate us centuries later.
And for good reason.
It challenges us to question our assumptions.
To dig a little deeper.
And look beyond the simplified narratives that history often presents.
History is never black and white.
It's full of shades of gray.
Just like the characters who inhabit it.
And Cleopatra, with all her brilliance, her flaws, her unwavering determination,
embodies that complexity perfectly.
What will you take away from this deep dive into Cleopatra's world?
How has Cleopatra, changed your perspective on this iconic figure?
Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep diving deep
into the fascinating world of history.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.